So it says we're going live, and I guess we're live, Jesse.
Steve, how you doing?
It's good to see you again, Dean.
Hi, guys. Sit down.
Hey, Jesse. Hey, the scene of this world is changing, like the governing body says. But there's a lot of happening, and the news that's been coming out this week is interesting because I think check this out. I think let me see if I still have it here. What? Is it desktop? Oh no, it was a screenshot. But it has to do with the space telescope, the James Webb, and how these things that people are discovering. Our whole world has been flipped upside down, and we're going to bring it all to Watchtower, Jehovah's Witness. We're going to talk about how the phrase was, "There's no going back now," and that was from
100.
If you look at the very bottom, that's what it says. There's no going back now. James Webb Telescope finds a primordial galaxy as old as the universe. So we're going to show you this clip, and we're going to show you how everything in the world is interrelated. This even relates to all of the people that are trying to research things from tens of thousands of years, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years back in time. This is amazing stuff. I really think you're going to like it.
Million years after the Big Bang, but had the mass and maturity typically seen in galaxies billions of years old. What's more, they're much smaller than we'd expect, adding another piece to the puzzle. This is where Fritz's tired light theory comes into play. According to this theory, the redshift we see might not be due to galaxies moving away from us. Instead, it might be because light loses energy as it travels across the universe. For a long time, this theory conflicted with what we saw in the universe. But according to Gupta, if we let this theory coexist with an expanding universe, we can reinterpret the redshift as a combination of both these phenomena. But Gupta didn't stop there. He also introduced a new idea based on physicist Paul Dirac's hypothesis about coupling constants. These are fundamental physical rules that control how particles interact. According to Dirac, these constants might have changed over time. If we let these constants evolve, then the time for early galaxies to form extends a few hundred million years to several billion years.
Your mind, right? Now, yesterday we had my other brother on the who was it, Jesse?
Oh, Jesus Pagan Gonzalez.
Jesus Gonzalez. Now we got Jesus Sagan. He's my other brother, and Jesse Sagan is in town, and he's going to tell us why.
300 million years after.
Check that out. Why there's no going back, like the title says. Jesse, did you want to take it from here?
Well, we were talking about it earlier, and I told you that I'm not a researcher, and because I'm a searcher, so I'm always searching for answers, And I remember we were talking about the language, a more classical language, a more elegant language, a more useful language. And so we're always searching for answers. And lo and behold, the James Webb Telescope comes up. And it seems like we're always searching as human beings. We're always searching for answers. And I think a lot of times you're the one who always says that that God lets it rain upon everybody. Everybody gets a little bit of rain. What do you mean by that?
That wisdom is like rain. God makes sure everybody gets something. Some get a little bit more, like a rainforest. Even the deserts get rain. Everybody gets rain.
Exactly. And you know what? We're always being lectured. You use the term know-it-alls. We're always being, I use the word elites or intellectuals. Ronald Reagan used to like to use the word intellectuals. These intellectuals, they're always berating us. We're poorly educated. We're undereducated. We don't do research. They think that we're Cro-Magnon, or they think we're cavemen who live in a cave, that we have nothing to do with science. And lo and behold, the James Webb telescope comes out, and now we can all participate in this knowledge, this wealth of knowledge. And one of the things we're finding out is that researchers are having a hard time with this. Science community is having a hard time. It is the best of times and is the worst of times, because we're discovering so much new information. It's beautiful. And a lot of researchers are saying, whoa, 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 whoa. We're discovering so much new information with the James Webb telescope that it is making us question all the things that we know about. For example, when we were a couple of years ago, if we were talking about the Big Bang Theory and we said, no, the Big Bang Theory, we would be labeled conspiracy theorists. We would be labeled ignorant.
Correct.
Now, researchers are even thinking, well, maybe the Big Bang Theory isn't the beginning of the entire universe. Maybe it's our corner of the universe. So they're rethinking all their science, because I don't want to say this, they're making it up as they go along. No, they're discovering new information. They're
like right there, like there, the redshift, and it has to do with James Hubble telescope. He discovered the redshift, and that's how they would determine how far something is. But then these guys are saying that the Webb telescope is saying, wait a minute, that maybe it's decaying over time, or it's losing its energy.
Stop everything right there.
Yeah.
There's no going back now. The researchers are saying what?
It said it right there about the redshift, because the Hubble telescope, that's why it's after Hubble, he discovered the redshift. And he started finding out that by looking at the shift of the light, some galaxies are going away, some are coming closer. And they can determine how far these are. But in this video, that's the whole thing where everything is, there's no going back. That there's like a decay, a loss of energy in the light.
Wait,
so that
a decay of matter or a decay of light?
Of energy, like the potency.
No. Wait, I didn't see that at Umahai when I went there. A decay of energy. No, I thought there was a decay of matter.
Oh,
you're saying there's a decay of light?
No, of the energy in the wavelengths.
Isn't that special? You know,
as it travels across the universe. Energy as it travels across the universe from us. Instead, it might be because light loses energy as it travels across the universe.
And light is photons. Yeah, the photons lose energy.
You wouldn't understand the significance of this, Gilbert. Do you understand the significance? There's no going back here. One of the things that we do know, scientists are making it up as they go along, because they just told us at the Big Bang. They told us about the observable universe. Now they're changing all the things. And there's nothing wrong with that. We love them because we're studying about that. But didn't you just make a video that says that there's people who want to beat you with the facts that they know? They're dogmatic about everything. Look, we send up one little telescope and we're rethinking 100 years of information.
Yeah. So
we just beat the hell out of everybody with the Big Bang Theory. Think about it. We all went to school and we were all beat and said that the world was a Big Bang Theory. Remember, like they used to say the world is a flat. Now they tell us the world is round. Tomorrow they're going to say the world is oblong. The thing is, they're always changing. Now, Winston Churchill said, the destiny of man cannot be measured in material computations. He's a wise philosopher and politician. And I always took that little knowledge with me everywhere I went as my instinct, my gut instinct. He says, the destiny of man cannot be measured in material computations. That's the problem with us as human beings. We want to measure the galaxies in our material speed of light. But we're finding out that even the speed of light can degrade from these distances. The universe cannot be measured in light years. It cannot be measured in human computations. It cannot be measured in physical computations. When great forces are on the move, we learn we're spirits, not animals. We're spirits, not animals. We're trying to measure the observable universe, and then we send out this telescope and say, wait. There's something beyond the observable universe. Last week, we thought it was 13.4 billion years, but there's galaxies out there that it just doesn't fit in our timeline. So scientists are discovering new things and new things. What I'm telling you, maybe there's a spiritual answer. Ronald Reagan used to always say, well, maybe there's a simple answer after all. Maybe we're using the wrong measuring stick. We're trying to use a light stick. What if we used a spiritual stick? Another dimension, not a light or matter dimension, but one of the spirit. What if there's a creator who's outside of the observable universe? There's no way that us inside the observable universe can measure it. We can't measure it in material computations. We can't. There is no answer. There is no material computation. So scientists are trying to do the speed of light, and that they're finding out that the distant stars might lose energy by the time they reach here. You can't measure that. We can't understand our galaxy in material computations. Now, we can keep studying it, yes, but the distance and the vastness proves that it's beyond the physical realm. We as mortals, as human beings, we can never comprehend the extensiveness of the universe. The light that emanates so far out even breaks down and decays. We never talked about the decay of light. We always talked about the decay of matter. So this is beyond everything. This is going into the realm of another dimension.
So the reason why this is so important is because, like you said, just in our generation, when we were going to school, everybody that was alive when we were in high school, if you believed that the Big Bang Theory was fake, you were a heretic, and they were willing to hang you at a torture stake. You were Alex Jones on steroids. And the James Webb, so the James Webb telescope is saying, well, maybe these guys had just a little bit right. Maybe there's something to their argument. So it just flips everything upside down. And this is what my last video, when I talked about, this is the problem with all the people that are know-it-alls. They're dogmatic. Because, and I'm not saying that Sagan, you're named after Jesse Sagan and Albert Einstein. But Albert Einstein and Carl Sagan, they died in their beliefs. But now that they're dead, new information is coming out. And they wish they could be, to be corrected. So that's the problem with this dogmatic stuff. That's the problem with everyone. No, my way is the right way, and you're wrong, and everybody's wrong. And that's what we're learning with the James Webb Telescope, is that everybody had a good point, but then also there's new information, and a lot of us were wrong. And that's going to happen also in the religious realm. I wanted to talk to you how this even goes back to the Jehovah's Witnesses turning in time. So how could this have to do with the Jehovah's Witnesses turning in time? Tell everybody about how when you turn in your time, they measure your spirituality. Remember Watchtower?
Yeah, we have this one elder in our congregation. I'll name him Sergio Velasquez. He's in the Central Spanish Yuma. If anybody's got a phone number, call him up. Ask him if Jesse Gonzalez is lying. But anyways, when elders, we'd have a meeting before the circuit overseer. And I remember this clearly. And we would get everybody's time card, all the men who were up for qualifications or for servant or elder. And we would see their time card. And Sergio Velasquez, the service overseer, he would always say, this man isn't spiritual. And I go, how do you know he's not spiritual? He goes, because he's only got 9.5 hours. He only averaged 9.5. The average at that time was 10. So if you were going to get somebody with special privileges, he had to at least have 10 hours above the national average. The national average, and that's how they used to measure the spirituality of the man. They used to use material computations to measure the spirit. I swear to God, I'm not lying. Jehovah's Witnesses use a mathematical average of service to measure a man's spirituality. I swear to God, I'm not lying. I swear, on a stack of New World Translation Bibles. They would measure the spirituality of a man based on the average 6 months of field service.
And that's what you're seeing there. A human being is on earth spirituality, and what you're looking, all that spirit, all that space, their spirituality is based on their time card. That's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah. And then they go and they get rid of the time card. They just wiped out any spirituality, stupidity of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Everything is upside down, right? But and speaking of a measuring, this is a picture of Uranus, and but the Hubble telescope does not get these pictures. It's because the Webb telescope has different eyes. It's like an infrared. It has a certain camera that the Hubble doesn't have, and they're able to capture these colors that the human eye can't catch. And so, but I just found that interesting about the measuring of spirituality. And then here's the measuring of light. Everything that we thought we knew, we don't know. And it goes back to my last video when I put down where Scott Peck, the Bible scholar, talks about how he goes, for an old idea and a new and better idea to take place, we have to go through periods of confusion. If it's uncomfortable, sometimes painful in such periods, nonetheless, it's blessed because when we are in them, we are going through and looking and we are growing. But in science and in religion, a lot of times there is no that period. It's uncomfortable because everyone is attacking you because you're having new ideas. You want to get rid of old ideas and bring in new. And so we start attacking each other because they want to come up with a new idea. But on this one, it's kind of hard to attack James Webb Telescope because it's...
well, the thing is, the James Webb Telescope can be foundational for our beliefs, us as Christians, because in a lot of ways, it's corroborating what we already know, that the spirit cannot be calculated with physical means. In other words, we, the created, cannot measure our creator. We understand that. That's foundational to us. But there's a lot of people who can't see that. They're like Nimrod. He wants to poke the sky. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's, as human beings, we want to do that. But they can't see all the existence on the planet, the pyramids, the megalithic structures. We have been on the earth for minimum 10,000 years, beyond the 6,000 years of recorded New Testament, Old Testament. We know that, the archaeological digging. But there's something in our recorded history called prehistoric. For some reason, which I don't know what it is, everybody can debate that, and you could do your research. I don't do research, I do search. I'm always searching. One of the things I found in my searching is that God, in all his infinite wisdom, has made it necessary to hide that from us. We know that existed. You drive to San Diego and you see these rocks that like they were perfectly put in there. You know, and there's earthquakes in California. How the heck is that rock there? Well, maybe the ancients put it up there. Or you go to Machu Picchu, or you go to Pitacumbo in the Inca territory. And the steps are gigantic. 20-foot steps. Humans didn't do that. Something happened. I mean, modern humans didn't do that. The Incas didn't do that.
Or those mountains, and you're like, that's not a mountain. That's a tree stump. You see a whole bunch of those. Yeah, and
whatever.
and we don't know. We don't know what it is. Go ahead.
But it falls on the ground of prehistoric. That has been wiped out. And we live in historic times. We live in modern times.
Mhm.
And we're grateful to our Creator that He has given His Son, Christ Jesus, for us, not for the prehistoric, not for the caveman, not for Cro-Magnon. He gave it to us, the humans. Us, the humans. And so we're grateful for what we got. We understand that the universe is expanding and it's great. We understand that. We understand that there was life before us. We understand that. But we're grateful for what we have now.
Mhm.
We don't have the answers because we're mortals. We
Mhm.
can't measure the immortality. We can't. No matter
Correct.
what. You're saying that the no eye can see those rings around Uranus. We need a special lens.
Mhm.
The same thing with the spiritual man. He understands, the spiritual man understands with the tools he has in nature, natural material world, he cannot measure the spiritual. So he walks by faith. What did you say Hebrews says about faith?
Hebrews 11:1. Faith is a sure indication of hope for the evident demonstration of reality, though not seen. So we hope in Jesus, and hope in our Father. We have evident demonstration of reality, and some need a little bit more than others. Some need more proof than others. And although we can't see it, we know it's there. So the ancients knew that Uranus existed, but now we can see with modern telescopes what they couldn't. But they actually knew that it was there. So and a lot of that was based on faith in their mathematical equations that they were able to find these planets.
Yes.
See,
And
even though they
with our mathematical equations, we can't find God
Mhm,
because he's exterior of space. It's
mhm,
another dimension. It's very simple. We
mhm,
cannot measure God. We see the effects of his creation, but we can't measure it with material tools, with the material eye. Nothing that we make as men can make us see God. The Bible says clearly, man cannot see God and live.
mhm,
It would be too awesome. Our hearts would stop.
mhm,
I don't know how that works. You could do the research on that. But the Bible clearly says that no man can see God and live
mhm,
because it's outside of our physical prowess. So what does God do? God does
mhm,
something special. He takes, like, if let's say you take the Pacific Ocean
mhm.
and you make it go into one human being, it would drown, it would suffocate that person. So God, what he does in his infinite wisdom, he gets a drop of the Pacific and he puts it into a human of himself.
Mhm,
And he puts it in this man named Jesus Christ.
mhm.
And Jesus, being of the essence of God, comes to our planet from God. Is he God the Father? No, but he's of the same essence as his Father. How does that happen? I don't know. That's why I'm a searcher. I'm always searching for answers. I'm not a
Yeah.
researcher. I don't go home and go, hey, honey, reheat my food. I go, no, hey, honey, we were in the Spanish congregation. Heat my food.
Yeah.
Those brothers in the English congregation, they go home and go, hey, can you reheat my food, honey? Because we all know that they were whooped. Everybody
Yeah.
in the Spanish congregation knows that. Every Jehovah's Witness in the Spanish congregation knows that the English brothers were whooped. They
Yeah.
know that they come up with this dogma and they say, man is the head of the household. Yeah, right. In the English, you know the women run the household. Come on, man. We all know that. So we're always searching for answers, searching for answers. So I come home and I go, hey, honey, heat my food. You know, that's why I'm a searcher. I'm not a researcher.
Okay. Well, good explanation there. But listen, I'm going to tie it up on this space Webb telescope. Uh, Blessed are the confused. What we found out is that
For a
you,
long time.
you thought things were true, but they ended up not being as exactly like you thought, or not even at all like you thought. In this case, it's a lot of what you thought was true, but the foundation is wrong. So you need to go back and rebuild. And so when we learn about being happy in your confused state and not being dogmatic, he at the very end says that virtually all of the evil in the world is committed by people who are absolutely certain they know what they're doing. It is not committed by people who think of themselves as confused. So when you walk in a confused state and you live and let live, you let people talk, you let people have ideas when it comes to like what you're talking about Jesus. Somebody may have a different one, and that's okay. But we don't have to be staring down people's face, because the truth is that everything what this video proves, what James Webb telescope proved, is that everything we believed is going to be challenged, and it's going to be proven that, hey, we were wrong on the great majority of the things that we believe right now. And Jesus did that when he was on earth. He would always tell the apostles and other people, did you not read? Everybody had this conceived notion. And he goes, you guys say that you shouldn't kill, and I tell you, or you shouldn't commit adultery, and I tell you. He was always letting the people know that, yeah, you're thinking this way, but no, you're wrong. And he would elaborate on the scriptures. And that's what the same thing's happening here. We're finding out that a lot of things that we used to believe are really not exactly like we thought they were. And that's not just in science, Jesse. That's in religion and politics and in business and all walks of life.
Correct. For example, if you listen to some of the research from the James Webb Telescope and the commentators and the people doing the reports on them, something fascinating is that they're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. For example, they're not quitting on the Big Bang Theory or the expansion of the universe. Many scientists are saying, you know what, maybe there is a localized Big Bang. And maybe this is external. These galaxies that we're finding are external to this Big Bang. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Big Bang is in our observable universe. They're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So we're living in beautiful times. It's beautiful times. We're not saying, hey, you were wrong. You told me when I was in high school that it was the Big Bang, and you sent me to detention because I didn't believe in evolution. We're not saying that. We're not saying that because you went 3,500 years ago and somebody used linen or bitter waters, you're going to throw out everything? No. The good thing is that us Christians have an open mind. We're watching and we're seeing that scientists are saying, hey, wow, we're discovering these new things. Mm-hmm. Let's have an open mind here, guys.
Yeah. We were wrong about a lot of things, but we didn't know what we didn't know, like I said, because we didn't have the proper instruments. Yeah. And hey, I just wanted to, because it's getting late, and I just wanted to show you this video. Check this video. You know what? That's in real time.
Is it a vacuum?
You know what happened?
Is it a vacuum?
Check this out again. Look at that. This thing is under a vacuum. I don't think it was even that high of a vacuum. And
you know what? Sometimes when let's say I'm welding up a coil in the air conditioning, and I have, imagine that was a half-inch copper pipe. But let's say it's old construction. Let's say it's old construction, and it's full of oil and debris, and you try to clean it up. But let's say you're underneath the house or in an attic or somewhere where it's real dirty, and you're trying to work, and you got your flame, and you can't clean it up very good. And so sometimes I put my vacuum pump on the copper pipe so that the vacuum will suck in my welding rod, my brazing rod, my welding rod. So with the vacuum, but if you put too much of it, it could, with the torch, you could collapse the copper. So you have to be copper. But this is about 1,000 times more than that. You know, this is a huge cylinder. Yeah.
Now, we talked about this because this is what happens when you have a vacuum. And we're going to go on a different subject, but this is why it's better to have if your research is killing you, Jesse, if your research is leading you down to hate and anger, you gotta just tone it down a little bit. It's better to be in a confused state, always searching, like you said, because this is what happens with Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm gonna tie it in. When you leave the Jehovah's Witness religion, there's a vacuum in your heart, in your life, and if you don't fill that vacuum, that's what happens. Jesus Christ talked about this where he said, where you leave and one demon leaves you and then he returns with 6 others. That's the 6 others that come back and and they fill the vacuum you didn't fill. So what I'm trying to say is that when you leave Watchtower, you have to leave Watchtower, but you have to fill that void in your heart. And you have to fill it with things that are good. Now, our Christian friends are going to say, well, you got to fill it with Jesus and God. Well, Jesus says that only God is good. So you have to fill it with good things. And when you fill it with good things, this isn't going to happen to your life. But that is happening right now, Jesse. You see all of these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's their life. Their life like feels like it's crashing down. And what it is your heart was empty when you left Watchtower. And then these demons return and they wreak havoc. And Watchtower knows this. They purposely have set up the religion. So when you leave, you're under the control of the one spirit. I mean, when you stay in there. But when you leave, they know. They've already set you up for failure. They know that when you leave, you're going to be attacked. And everybody can attest to it. And not everybody comes out victorious. And so I saw the video and I saved it a long time ago. And I just thought, I'm going to do part B of this video. And just say, hey, when you leave Watchtower, this explains why so many people are messed up, because they didn't fill their heart with something good to be able to combat, that emptiness that Watchtower created in you. Am I wrong on this or no?
No, it's true. Listen, Gilbert, Ronald Reagan said it this way. He said, the martyrs of history were not fools. The martyrs of history were not fools. They gave their lives in martyrdom. For what? For us, for you and I. Did they do it for God? Well, God doesn't need nothing from us mortals. So there was a passion from the martyrs of history to leave us with a legacy, to leave us something better. When you saw Abraham Lincoln walking through Antietam, or when walking through Gettysburg, or walking through the South after the defeat, he became spiritual. He became grateful to God. And he talked about the ungrateful people who go through life and they don't understand how they have received blessings from their creator. They think, and Lincoln talks about this, study that Lincoln. Lincoln was talking about how they think that they're receiving the blessings from their hard work. In a way, Barack Obama talked about it in his way. Now, he kind of messed it up a little bit, but he was scratching the surface when he said, if you got a building, you didn't build that. Remember, he said that? If you got a business, you didn't build that. Now, he could have said it a little bit more eloquent. But in essence, that's what he's saying, that we are all building on something. And we're grateful to the martyrs of history. We're grateful to Moses. We're grateful to Jesus. We're grateful to Lincoln and Washington. But Lincoln was telling that there's a certain segment of the population who think that all this came from no hard work of our fathers. And they're just nitpicking their fathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they would have filled, if you leave Watchtower and you fill that tank with love, with gratefulness, continue praying when you get a hamburger, when you get food. It came from somewhere. Continue.
Now, people don't know that.
Well, I'm saying,
you and I got in a severe fight one time. And since you're the president of our church, the GG for GB church, you kind of outrule me because I got 49.5% and you got 50.5% ownership stake, right? And so I told you, Gilbert, don't use the word research. What did you tell me? Oh, hell no, I'm going to use the word research. And I told you, no, because what did I tell you? Research is a sacrament to a lot of the new age types. Just like Dad, he found out when he would talk to my grandma about the Virgin Mary. What would the Catholics do to my dad? It was sacrilegious what he was saying about the Virgin Mary. You don't go attack the Virgin Mary to a Catholic. You don't go attack research. The word research is a sacrament to the person who doesn't believe in God or is agnostic. So you have to tread lightly. You have to tread lightly when you do you say, because they're already bastardizing the words you say. They say, "Oh, Gilbert doesn't say research." No, and you say that over and over and over again. If the research is leading you to this, tone it down a little bit. Maybe research something that will expand your love of the creation instead of your hate towards the creator.
So when I started talking about that research, you're saying I was poking the eye of the atheist and the agnostic because the research is like the Virgin Mary. It's their virgin.
It's a
It's their
sacrament, like the
sacrament.
communion. Yeah, research is their sacrament because they're always researching. They're not searchers. Searchers are more elegant. It's a more elegant word. Remember in Star Wars, you're always quoting Star Wars. Remember when Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was talking about a lightsaber? What did he say?
That it's an elegant weapon.
It's an elegant weapon. Yeah, words mean things, you know?
Mhm.
And that's why I like the word searching. We're always searching for answers. We're like Carl Sagan. We're like the James Webb telescope. We're always searching for something. And then when we find out that we were wrong about something, we go, wow, we were wrong about this. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You say, well, how can we build on this? How does this mean it? Because it's all speculative.
Mhm.
The great debate of our time is the past still, does the past still exist? You know, there's scientists pondering that. You know, what is the present? What is the past? What is the future? What does it mean in space time? What I'm always saying is, in my search, I say that you can't find it with
Here
material computations. There is a
with
simple answer. It's called a spiritual answer.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, you can't find out if there's a parallel universe but with the tools that they have at Lowe's.
mm-mm. No,
Hey, can you show everybody your cup? Let me see if we can get rid of this thing.
yeah,
Oh yeah, space age. Oh, that's from the Gila Bend, right?
yeah. Gila
From
Bend.
the Gila
Now,
Bend, Arizona. Mhm,
when we've driven through the desert, when we were Phoenix Suns fanatics for many years,
mhm.
I get some crazy ass abductions out there. You know, we never got abducted, but there was some crazy lights out there. You know, everybody ought to
Yeah.
go to the space station, ought to get a cup, and go about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when they have scary stories on coast to coast. Mhm.
So I hope we were. I know. I hope we were. Uh, we able to. I know we went all over the place. And I hope it made a little bit of sense, just a little bit of sense, that that it's good to be a searcher. Even Solomon talked about searching for gold and silver. Uh, that it's okay to be happy or be confused, and it's okay to have opinions that everybody disagrees with, because the James Webb Telescope has vindicated a lot of us that, you know what, maybe you were right, maybe you had a good point all along. And so let's, this dogmatic thing, you know uh of
Well,
yeah.
there's a time and a place for everything. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says there's a time to heal. I believe there's a time to be dogmatic about certain. Maybe if you are certain and there's a life or death situation, maybe you can be dogmatic. There's a time and a place for everything. But when you're conversing with people and you're exchanging ideas, and it's not a life or death situation, for the good of the community, isn't it good to find some common ground and not throw the baby out with the bathwater? Like,
Mhm.
for instance, I believe Jesus is God. I believe Jesus is God. And the greatest questions to me, the most intelligent people that I have ever run across, I hate to say this, but are atheists,
Mhm.
because they challenge you with some of the greatest questions, the greatest questions. And especially when the atheist is sincere in their questions and they ask you and they stumble you and you go and you pray on it. But you have faith in the creator and you don't have an answer to their questions. Like a simple question, some atheists have some serious, why does God allow suffering? There is no easy answer to that. It'll take you all your life. But the atheist got you. Touche, he got you. I don't have an answer for that. Why didn't Jesus stop it? I don't have an answer for that. And you're going to hear some Pollyanna answers, and you're going to hear some good season answers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. My to answer that question, why does God allow suffering? Will you invalidate my justice? Will you pronounce God wicked so you can be in the right? So I'm not going to go and pronounce God wicked, but I definitely see no problem in you in prayer asking God, why do you allow this? But to think that you're above your father, like it says, your father. I never questioned my dad and my mom or my grandparents. Why did you do this? Did you do that? You know, uh, yeah. What I'm saying is, I know my place in the universe, and a little humility is in order. But you're right; those questions you have. Thomas Jefferson talked about it. Not only can you have those questions. Thomas Jefferson says you have every right to even question whether God exists, and you shouldn't. And we shouldn't feel upset that people even ask those questions.
And you know what, Gilbert? It does take humility. It takes great humility because a lot of historians believe that Abraham Lincoln, for example, was not a theist like that. I love my boyfriend in the comment. Well, she keeps using this word deist, but they don't believe that Abraham Lincoln was a believer in God.
Mhm,
But going through the valley of the shadow of death, going through the valley of the shadow of the death, I shall fear no evil. It
mhm,
changes men. And we as Americans, we have a saying. It says, "There's no atheist in foxholes." And I think something happens in time and space, and it happened to Lincoln. And he understood that there was an evil so evil that we as Americans had participated in this evil called the sale of human beings. We participated in that. And we had
mhm,
to atone for Lincoln understood it. Now, he didn't want to divide the country, but he knew this had to end. And if it meant dividing the country, that was a risk he was going to take.
mhm, mhm,
Now, when he walks through the valley of the shadow, when he walks through the death of the Confederates and the Union soldiers, it makes his faith in God stronger. And a weaker person would say, "Why does God allow this?" But 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 Lincoln, he said that people were weaker men and not being grateful for the blessings. The blessings. Now, Lincoln was obsessed with the blessings of freedom. And he understood that there was going to be a beautiful American family being born out of this. To get a crop, you have to toil the ground. You have to disturb the ground for there to be a seed put in and then for it to generate itself. And he understood that in the human experience. A lot of people see that and they question the very love of God. But in the same breath, as human beings, we would say if God saved us, we would say, "Why did you save us? I could take care of myself." There has to be a simple answer. I don't have the answer. I'm just throwing everything out because I have pondered on those questions that the atheist asked. I have pondered on that question. But
Well,
in the human experience, we don't have a perfect answer. What I'm saying is the answer maybe is not in material computations, but in a spiritual computation. That's all I'm saying. And I could be wrong.
well, check this out. So okay. So the question is, why does God allow suffering? Well, I just thought right now. You know what would answer it? The parallel universe. The parallel universe, in my opinion, would be a perfect answer, because it wouldn't be a parallel universe in real time. Like we're 50, 60 years old. We're 50, 60 years old. No, no, no. The parallel universe is we leave here and we go into the next universe, which is identical to what we're living here. And our mom and dad and our grandfather's there. And so we're reunited. But guess what? We take the experiences here and we take them over there. And so, yeah, you suffered here. You were the one causing the suffering here. And now the tables have turned in the parallel universe. What I'm saying is all things are possible with God. And I'm not even trying to say that, what I'm trying to say is that we don't know what we don't know. And there's nothing wrong in having these discussions and and ponder over them, like we learned with the James Webb telescope, that a lot of the things that we believe in anyways are wrong, and and we're going to be changing our mind as the years go by. But Jesse, I want to mention this thing too about why does God kill everybody in Sodom and Gomorrah? Why does God, kill everybody in Jericho? What did you tell your father-in-law who fought in Vietnam? Why were the Americans in Vietnam?
Well, I was a know-it-all. And but I took care of my father-in-law and my dad until they died.
Mhm.
And one time, and my father-in-law, I could have done more. My conscience bothers me. I didn't do enough for my father-in-law. But my father-in-law, Ray, he fought in Vietnam, 1966, right out of Yuma High, 18 years old. He gets married to my mother-in-law. They go AWOL for a week because they got married. Anyways, a beautiful man. But since the day I met him, way back in the early 80s, he was still in Vietnam. He was in the garb. He looked like Grizzly Adams. He was working on his Plymouth Duster outside his trailer and everything. And anyways, we're at my house years later, and I think I know it all. And I told him, Ray, what you do in Vietnam? He goes, Mijo, I don't want to talk about it. I don't like talking about that. And then I go, you know why you were in Vietnam? And he goes, no. He goes, tell me. And I told him, you were there to stop the advancement of communism. Like, I'm a know-it-all son of a bitch. Know-it-all. I regret that. He looked at me and he goes, really, mijo? Really? So he said, really? Think about it. An 18-year-old Mexican-American boy, Ray Martinez, from Yuma, Arizona, born in San Antonio, Texas. 18 years old, and they ship him off to the rice paddies to fight in Vietnam for the stop the advance of communism?
Okay. So how does that answer why God killed? Well, it doesn't, but it does answer this. A lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they get on that bandwagon, and they start blaming God. And you know what the answer is? Really, really,
Mm-hmm.
really. I mean, you weren't in Sodom and Gomorrah, you weren't in Jericho, and everybody knows what was happening. And but the real answer to that question is really, really. If we do not know the atrocities that are happening right now on the southern border with the women, and we don't know, there's probably death counts, and people say, well, how could you kill them? Really? Really? I mean, there's things that are happening that we just don't know the gory, and it's better that we don't know. It's better that I don't know the dirty, horny, filthy secrets of Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm happy not knowing. And instead, focus on today. Focus on today. And not on the things that I can't prove or disprove, but on the things that I can prove. And what I like about Jesus is that he kept it very simple, like it says up there. Jesus didn't come talking to us about quasars and magnetron, neutrinos. He didn't talk about black holes. He talked about flowers. He talked about mustard seeds. He talked about sheep and goats. He kept it so simple. Why? Because he wants us to be happy. It's really so. Jesus is a loving father, and Jesus is my father because he's the Prince. He's our eternal father. So no, I'm super happy, with Jesus. Now, if you don't want to, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm happy, and I hope that you find something equally as beautiful that could feel that I showed in that video. That could fill the void. I'm gonna show it one more time. Because Jesus filled that didn't happen to me like so many others. That's the same. Make sure your heart is always filled with healthy, beautiful things. Everything you thought was true has been flipped upside down, and there is no going back now. And that's a good message. That's a positive message, Jesse.
Gilbert, and you know what? There's another dimension of Christianity that a lot of people don't talk about. and the belief in God. And maybe there's a secular dimension. You know, Ronald Reagan always said, maybe there's a simple answer after all. A lot of times throughout history, we've always had men that we look up to and admire who were Christian or come from a Christian background, Orthodox or whatever they are. But they didn't serve as a religious leader. It was just in their background. Like, for instance, us Jehovah's Witnesses, we know that Dwight David Eisenhower had a Jehovah's Witness background. You know, we know that John F. Kennedy had a Catholic background, and we know this about these men. But they were always cognizant that they had a job to do, a political job to do, a military job, a war job. But they were influenced by their fathers, Moses, Joshua. They were influenced by these men. Now, they didn't worship Moses. They didn't looking for the imperfections of Moses or bowing down to Moses. They took the good and the bad, and they built a better land for their fathers and children. Like the Americans say, for ourselves and our posterity. Now, we took these stories of the ancient men so that we could become better citizens to better serve. Like, was it Patrick Henry when he was 20-something years old when he said, I regret that I have but one life to give for my country? These were young men. I would venture to say if they didn't know about Moses, if they didn't know about Jesus, they wouldn't have served their sacrifice for us. We'd be speaking British, broken English right now. We wouldn't be speaking this beautiful American language. You know, we'd be talking about limeys and Prince Williams, you know.
So yeah. So I hope it made sense, this video, and I hope you guys liked it, and it was uplifting, and remember the phrase, blessed are the confused. So not only
let me just say one thing. In Spanish, we have a term called muerto de hambre. Muerto de hambre.
Dying of hunger. Dying of hunger.
There's a muerto de hambre in the chat channel, in the chat room.
I love my boyfriend?
Yeah. She's a muerto de hambre. Give her a little bit of run. I mean, what is this girl? Yeah.
No, yeah, we gotta love her. Yeah, no, she I gotta talk to her later and find out what this Diaz thing is. Yeah. No, I like her. I like it a lot. But Jesse, I think is that all you have to say? I know that tank had nothing to do with the first part, but I wanted to get that in.
No, but you know what? When we were talking about the James Webb Telescope, I would tell everybody to do their research on that. It's beautiful. We're learning a lot of things, but it's not to. It's to make us better. It's to make us better. Now, how we got the James Webb Telescope through the Van Allen belts, that's another research. That's for another day. Without it frying all the electronics, I don't know how we did that.
Just real quick, do you know how the Webb, where the Webb's Space Telescope is at? So you know how you have a semi truck going down the freeway, and then you have the air that goes, and then it hits that. There's a special scientific name for it, and that point where the air enters, it goes back, right? So it's at a certain point. So the James Webb Telescope is right behind that point, like quite a bit of ways, and it has like nuclear propulsion. Just in case it gets too close, it pulls itself back in. So what happens is it's always in stereo. It's that little section. It's
so
like
is it what Rush Limbaugh called geosynchronous orbit?
Yes. Isn't that cool? That's some pretty cool stuff. So I'm just gonna end it with this, Jesse. I really like ending it with this, and even though yesterday we ended it with John Lennon, but.
And remember, everybody loves somebody, and I love you all very, very much. Good night, and God bless you.
Yeah, and guys, don't say nothing bad about Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. They're dead. Now, you know, when you're going to attack somebody, hey, Jesse, guess who came in? Gus Estacio. I love Gus Estacio.
Oh, no, Jane Doe's going to attack us tomorrow.
Oh no, I know, but Gus Estacio, he thinks he's Muhammad Ali, but I'm more George Foreman. He's the one guy that I can go. I feel comfortable getting into the ring and fighting with him and discussing things. But I know at the end of the day, it's all love. And you know, when you have a friend like that, you got to thank God that, you know, if you're going to throw a blow, man, you might as well be able to take it back. That's what I love about Gus. And a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people about Gus, and I'm surprised. I mean, how much people know this guy, you know, like stuff I didn't even know about. And so, but no, that I'm glad he's here. But hey, Gus, check out that video in the very beginning. Jay, sorry, man, we're wrapping it up. I love your boyfriend too.
Hey, does she have
Yeah.
a sister?
You have a sister, yeah. And but yeah, that's it, guys. I gotta go. Unfortunately, I got a job.
All right.
So I can go to tomorrow. All right. I'll
Okay,
talk to you later,
Gilbert.
man.
Good night.
Bye bye. Good night.